everybody. Several times I did say that I was going to explain why I consciously call these decks Rider Waite Smith decks and not Rider Waite or Waite Smith or Smith Waite. Initially, when I first started exploring tarot 3.5 years ago now, I still hear the term Rider Waite. And I have made a conscious decision to follow those who call these decks Rider Waite Smith, although it's a mouthful, RWS. When I type and when I verbalize it, I will say the whole thing Rider Waite Smith. And initially I thought is because essentially Waite constructed this deck. He commissioned Pamela Colman Smith as an artist, apparently with a one-off pay. That's their agreement and contract, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'll try to quote my sources and put the link below. It was one of those history books, I think by Cynthia Giles, I believe, is the one that I've read, or it's the other one, I can't remember, but I'll put that link below, just so that you know where I get my sources from. And like a lot of modern decks now, even we often refer to decks as so-and-so's deck, the creator's deck, the person who is the architect behind the deck, and not necessarily the artist who helped the creator of the deck. Although the norm now is to, of course, credit the artist so that we know who the artist is. It's just like in books, you always credit the illustrator who does or who did the design of the jacket, who did the illustration inside the book, etc. But the book is largely by the person who wrote it. And so for me, and my dad also, my dad was, when he was still alive a long time ago, was an architect. And so houses would be credited to him because he designed those houses. He didn't lay the brick, he didn't paint the wall, he didn't climb up and put the roof on himself. They are contractors, they are skilled craftsmen, there's no women in those days, they're all men, craftspeople, and a lot of people without whom my dad's vision and design would not have eventuated, and that is true. But by and large, the name on those houses, or the credit given for those houses, was my dad's, because he was the one who designed them. And so in my mind, this is my initial thought when I decided it was going to be Rider Waite Smith to me, is because this is really Waite's deck. However, without Rider & Co. or Rider & Sons at the time in the early 1900s, and without Pamela Colman Smith, he would not have been able to execute his vision. And Rider & Company, or back then I believe it was Rider & Sons, it was the first of its kind. And when I say the first of its kind, is the kind of tarot deck that was available for the masses who aren't part of close-knitted, esoteric society, secret society, learned few. It was literally a deck that was created for the hoi polloi, you know, the great unwashed, so to speak. Illustrated pips. Yes, the Sola Busca was the first to have illustrated scenic pips, but its aim is still for the selected hidden few, for those in the know. And so for a modern tarot deck, Rider would have had, Rider & Sons in my mind at the time would have had to take a chance on this particular product. How you box it, how you color it, how you put the booklet together or whatever. The way they're packaged, you can take a look at waitesmith.org, and quoting waitesmith.org, they've credited Rider as the so-called creator of modern tarot packs. And they've also have credited them for mentioning Pamela Colman Smith as the creator, as the illustrator. I believe in an edition, again, I'll put the link below so you can take a look at it yourself. And I think mid-70s, they credited Pamela Colman Smith under the guidance of art, quote unquote. Here I'm reading directly from waitesmith.org. In 1976 and 77, Ryder credits Pam as the deck designer, quote unquote, under the guidance of art. And then it continues to say, US Game System wrote Pam out of history until the 1990s. I've also read the small booklet here that was written by Waite, and in it he credited Pamela Colman Smith. And here he mentioned that these images are created by. So neither, for whatever reason, when I first started, I had this impression that Waite sort of took over in the usual. It was really prejudiced talking, because I made the assumption, and there's this impression that middle-class, educated white men in the early 1900s would have been in a more powerful position compared to a female of mixed background who is an artist or some, for lack of a better term, a bohemian. And then, of course, you think of Lady Frida Harris, and you think, she would have been on more equal standing with Crowley, because she's relatively sort of up there in the societal ladder, so to speak, in the 20s and 30s. But all that assumptions aside, I am quoting what I read here. I can see that Waite credited Pamela Colman Smith, and according to waitesmith.org, Ryder credits their edition anyway, in 76-77 edition of that blue box, which isn't this one here. I don't have the booklet either. So in the booklet, apparently it credits that particular version, credits Pamela Colman Smith. And so not only are they the essential part of that, what seems to me, unless I am not getting my information correctly, what appeared to me to be something quite new, a new venture no one else have done before. A Ryder was a huge part of that in producing the product. And so Waite, of course, is the person, the construction, the skeleton, the architect's Waite, and Pam was the execution in terms of realizing it in terms of the artwork. And so I do not believe these three, and I do understand that Ryder is now Ryder Books, and it's really now a part of a much larger company, a Random House, and therefore when you say Ryder, you're not really calling on, or you're not really mentioning the today's Ryder, but really the Ryder of 1909 and to 1930, and then again 1970 to 1977 perhaps. But I believe Ryder and Co., who produced this one here in the 70s, is the same as Ryder and Sons, which produces the original Rider-Waite Smith tarot pack, tarot deck with a book and that blue and red box in 1909 all the way to 1930s, I think. I can't quite remember. I'll put the link below again to the website waitesmith.org, and the other book where I read that Pamela Colman Smith was contracted with a one-off payment for her work. So that's why I chose to say Rider-Waite Smith, and I will most likely continue to do so, because I think none of them, without this wouldn't have happened if any one of them wasn't there. Probably would have happened in a very different way, but the way these are now, those three names really can't be separated in my mind, so that's why I call them Rider-Waite Smith, and will most likely continue to do so. So Not that I owe anybody an explanation, and not that you really needed to know, or that not that you really wanted to know, but you know, I did say I was gonna say why, and so I said why. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.